Hey kids, what time is it?
Time for Gezintahait, please.
The story tonight is entitled "The Second Day of Shavuos is Special." Everybody knows that now we celebrate 2 days of Shavuos. And the story is that the second day of Shavuos has something special about it. The previous Rebbe related that one Shavuos, he said on the Shavuos, that the Baal Shem Tov attributed special significance and preciousness to the second day of Shavuos. On that day, the Baal Shem Tov was accustomed to making a light meal after davening, but the main meal of the day would be served late in the afternoon, and the whole congregation would join him at that meal. And he continued that custom on the second day of the holiday his whole life, which happened to be the anniversary of his passing. His student, the Maggid, who succeeded him as Rebbe, explained the reason why the Baal Shem Tov held that day in such high esteem. Its greatness was manifest by the fact that it came after the Torah was given. On the first day of Shavuos, the Torah was given. There was loud shofar blast, the mountain was on fire, there was a whole bunch of revelations of godliness. That was on the first day. On the second day of Shavuos, there was no big revelations. Our Rebbe says the lesson for each one of us is that there are times where godliness is revealed, like the first day of Shavuos. Okay, Gimmel Elef?
Yeah.
Sometimes God is revealed.
Like the first day of Shavuos.
While at other times, things are very dark. And try as a person might, success eludes him. And he is understandably downcast. We tell him that however much things changed from yesterday when we had the whole revelation of Har Sinai, until today when things are not revealed, it doesn't compare to the change between the first and second day of Shavuot. The first day was revelations of godliness, and the second day there are no revelations at all. Yesterday, Hashem descended on Har Sinai. He revealed himself to us with such intensity, it was similar to what we will experience when Mashiach comes. But today, we don't have any of those revelations. We're left to our own devices. Things are in our own hands and depend on our service, not revelations. Nevertheless, the main focus of importance is manifest for the Baal Shem Tov on the second day of Shavuot because of the intrinsic superiority of our own service in Hashem's eyes. In other words, the way that we serve Hashem when there are no revelations of godliness, that is the service that Hashem is really into. Particularly in dark times, when godliness is not revealed as much, we're forced to work with our own limited power. We have to go to the good and try to accomplish positive things, even though we don't see any godliness. Our efforts are more precious to Hashem and reach much higher into Hashem's essence, as opposed when we serve at the time of revelations from above. Once, on Shavuos, when the Rebbe Rashab went into Yechidus with his father, the Rebbe Marash, he was told that Shavuos commemorates, one, the gift of the Torah, the revealed Torah, which everyone gets. Two, it's the yortzeit of the Baal Shem Tov, which is the hidden Torah that many get. Three, the yortzeit of King David, the ability to serve Hashem with self-glorification through changing his one nature, which is given only to those who have an intense, essential desire for that service. Now, I want to add that the difference between when Hashem split the Yam Suf and when we got the Torah, right? Two separate things, both revelations of godliness.
Yeah.
The metaphor is the difference, tower to the ground. The thing, even though he throws a whole bunch of stuff, they all hit equally on the ground. As opposed when the person throws something up, it only goes up as high as the ability to throw. As opposed to what comes down automatically.
Yeah, what comes down all stops at the same place.
When at the Yam Suf, Hashem revealed himself to us, and everybody got it equally. Even the babies in the mother's stomach before they were born were singing the songs.
Wow.
What was it called? The Shir?
The Oz Yashir.
Oz Yashir. Even the babies, the embryos were singing the song. Why? Because Hashem revealed himself to everyone.
Dosan and Aviram even got revealed to.
They did, yeah. Where at Har Sinai, each one had a different level. Moshe Rabbeinu was in his own place. Aaron HaKohen was in his own place. And each level was in their own level. Why? because it depended on their own work. And everybody has only the ability to reach up according to his strength. Nevertheless, Hashem's nachas is what we serve him to the tops of our ability. Even though it doesn't reach up to his ability, that's where he gets nachas. We want Mashiach now.
Amen.
What do you think, Lev? You got a song, banjo there?
Okay, let's do it.
Now, Gimmel Elef.
Yes.
Continuing with our way we've been doing things,
Yes.
Gimmel Elef is teaching Torah to the seniors.
Wow.
And he's going to tell us this week what the service is to Hashem and how we accomplish it.
Yes. My dear brothers and sisters, I want to tell you about the service of Hashem. So there was a person who asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he asked him, what is the avodah, what is the service of Chassidus, what is this divine service of Chassidus, and how does one prepare oneself to be a fitting vessel for that service? And the Frierdiker Rebbe would follow a letter, which, by the way, the substance of this letter is the explanation of what the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, told his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, that the whole idea of Chassidus is to change the nature of the emotive attributes, the mides, from being self-serving to being God-serving. All who want to come close and be holy in serving Hashem are told that the service must be founded on truth, emes. One must look at himself and the world honestly, without self-deception, either to the good or to the bad, meaning not looking at himself as better than he is and not advice. That, this is a thing, Bitzalel. Sometimes people, they think, oh, it's a good thing to not blow yourself up and make yourself big. But it's also, like we know, a good thing you have to also recognize your positive things. Besides that foundation of truth, the main thing of the divine service, the Aveda, is that it has to be done in an organized, systematic way, step by step.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's why we here at Gezintahait Street are so organized, Bitzalel, yeah?
Aha.
We're here on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's for us, that's pretty organized. Physical work has 3 categories. Carrying, schlepping, right? That's carrying. That's 1. 2, craftsmanship. And 3, design. And so too, spiritual Avodah has these 3 things. And now the Rebbe will tell us what we are building and accomplishing through this Avodah. Building the sanctuary is a general mitzvah in which everyone must participate. Like it says in the Torah, make me a sanctuary and I will dwell in them. Right? Also the mikdash v'shalchanti b'seicham. And in the Hebrew grammar, what it indicates, because it doesn't say, make me a sanctuary and I will dwell b'seichai in it. It says b'seicham in them. This implies and it indicates within each one, within each person. This means that everyone needs to make a sanctuary, a dwelling for Hashem in his heart. And building this sanctuary necessitates, on a spiritual level, the 3 kinds of labor that we said. Schlepping things, crafting things, and designing things. Now, Bitzalel, the smart person will realize that these categories of work allude to our labor on the garments of soul, of the soul. What's the garments of the soul? Is also 3. You know what they are? You know what they are?
Yes, the thought,
Wait
speech,
a
and
minute.
action.
Thought, speed, and action.
Yay!
Oh, Leib, I figured that you would have the proclivity to be able to answer this
Thought
question.
is like the closest carbon to the neshama.
Yes.
It's like the neshama's underwear, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
But before starting the work, which is the reason for the soul's descent, right? That's why a soul comes down to this height,
To do this work.
is to do this work, to make a dwelling place for Hashem. So the labor must be organized according to a systematic plan. Each step in its own place and without fooling oneself, because a person can easily fool himself that he is further along than he really is. Like, for example, a person whose natural character is good traits, that he's naturally kind, he might think that he doesn't have to work on that area. Oh, me, I'm so kind already. Why I have to work in this area? I already have a proclivity for doing good in this area. Each person has good and bad in his nature and habits of his life. Both he has superior qualities and negative qualities. And the first cautionary step is not to fool oneself, meaning not to recognize only his good points, but also not to only recognize his bad points. A one-sided inventory of one's character and actions will not lead to success in the service of Hashem. You know,
Profound.
you know,
Very profound.
Yeah, you know, Bitzalel. It's like what's it called? It's on a balance sheet. Is the assets and what's the other?
The
Is
ledger, it's the ledger.
yeah, what's it? Assets and what's on the other side from the assets? Liabilities. I remember the IRS boy wasn't happy when I gave him a sheet with only my liabilities. He said, "This doesn't tell me nothing. Where's the assets?" This is the same thing on the inventory. The balance sheet have to have also the assets and also the liabilities. Every craftsman, before starting work and of fixing any vessel, he checks out every component carefully to see which parts need straightening or cleaning and what parts need to be replaced. Next, he chooses the appropriate tools needed to do this repair, to repair this implement. And then he can begin the actual work. So first, he removes the broken parts that need to be replaced. Then he works on the things that need to be fixed or cleaned. And all of his work, slave, all of this work is done carefully, step by step, so the vessel will be strong and fitting for use. So too on a spiritual level, in fixing our character traits, our middays, we start by looking at ourselves well, to recognize our true standing in good traits and bad traits also, and to know which ones, even if they intellectual things or emotional traits or thought and speech or action, which ones need fixing or cleaning, and which ones need to be, it's time to get rid of and change for new ones altogether. There are certain characteristics, like anger or arrogance, which do not necessitate the Hasidic inner service, but can be dealt with through musar or other ways of realizing how bad traits are and how good the good traits are. The Rambam says that the superiority of a man is that he stands far from bad and close to good. The beginning of explaining the Hasidic service to a person is that everything that is understood by human intellect to be good is not yet too good.
Not true good.
Yeah. For example, if a person prays 3 times a day, he learns Torah as much as time allows for him to do, and he does the mitzvahs correctly, he has not yet accomplished the godly intention in the descent of his soul into his body. That's not enough yet. The beginning of the service called in Chassidus Aveda, right, the divine service, the labor. Chassidic Aveda is to bring inner light and vitality into one's entire being. The complete person we mentioned before is only a fitting vessel. Right? He does all the things with his body. He's a fitting vessel. But into this vessel, we must bring spiritual light and life. Like a healthy body is a good vessel. But a healthy body without a soul, it don't work. It needs a soul to animate all of its powers and the limbs, each limb with its own purpose. Hashem formed a man from earth and then breathed a living soul into him. So too, bringing inner light and life into ourselves through godly service, this is the beginning of the Aveda of Chassidus. The how and why of this service is illustrated by the story of the Tzemach Tzedek, who was told by the Alter Rebbe that the whole idea of Chassidus is to change the nature of the emotive attributes. Because you see, a person has 3 souls. The godly soul, the intellectual soul, and the natural soul, the animal soul. Each one is complete with its own 10 powers. Right? The intellect, the 3 intellect, and the emotions. The natural soul is the animal soul, since its whole meaning and thoughts are earthly and animalistic, and its whole intellect is involved only in self-gratification.
How do I get to the cookie jar?
Yeah, and even more importantly, how do I not get caught? It rationalizes its own superiority, even in falsehood, to justify itself in explaining to itself and to others how this selfish and destructive behavior that it is involved in is really benign activity.
It's called a spin.
Yeah, like listen every once in a while to enjoy a cookie. No,
I'm only enjoying a cookie so I can explain to somebody else how sweet Hashem is.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why. And that's to explain to them that Hashem is full meat chocolate chips.
Oh, now you tell me.
So the emotive characteristics of this animal soul, that's the evil impulse. Like the intellect of it is thinking up these ideas that justify. But the emotional part, the emotions, this is the impulse, the evil impulse. Now, therefore, this animal soul cannot be fixed, it cannot be cleaned, but it must be replaced. However, since this operation requires special tools which are not readily available on Amazon.com, It is better to postpone this difficult job for a more propitious time when we have acquired the appropriate tools to accomplish replacing it. In the meantime, we can take away its bad effect through pushing it away and breaking it. So, which this would seem, Bitzalel explained that this is the avodas,
That's like when your evil impulse tells you to do something against Hashem, you say, "Get out of here!
Get out of here!
Get out of here!"
That's what
Forever here.
Yeah, you never heard of that?
Oh, the animal? It's like
There was one of the Jewish gangsters. His name was Gara. He couldn't talk, but he'd say, "Get out of here!"
So this breaking is not, however, considered part of the Hasidic Avodah, because real service entails fixing and not breaking. Like we know, this is what Chassidus does: it fixes, it doesn't break. But until we are in a position to accomplish that, we need to break its bad effect, and breaking entails employing strength. Like a craftsman who breaks off broken parts of a vessel, we can break our natural animal desires by closing our mouth from speaking bad things it wants to speak, by closing our ears from hearing bad things it wants to hear, and by closing our eyes from looking at bad things we're not supposed to see. How about that niggin, Lee?
You ready for a nigga?
Yeah. I say no, I say no, I say no, my baby. Say no, I say no, my baby. Say no, I say no, I say no, I say no, my baby. Say no, I say no, my baby. Say no. Oh man, no, you no, man, no, you get all right. Oh man, no, you no, you get all right. Oh man, no, you no, man, no, you get all right. Oh man, no, you no, you get all right. Oh my, fire, 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 just sing. Oh my, fire, fire, just sing. Oh my, fire, 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 just sing. Oh my, fire, fire, just sing. Oh man, no, you no, you get all right. Oh my, fire, just sing. Oh man, no, you no, you get all right. Oh my, fire, just sing. I say no, my baby, no. Say no, I say no, my heart is aching. Say no, I say no, my baby, say no. Say no, I say no, my heart is aching. Oh man, no, you no, man, no, you get away. Oh man, no, you no, you away. Oh man, no, you no, you get away. Oh man, no, you no. Hey, Okay, now, the first service of perfecting ourselves, my dear brothers and sisters, is to change the nature of the intermediate soul, the intellectual soul, the nefesh hasichli. Just as a craftsman chooses the appropriate tools for each repair, so too our service of perfecting ourselves requires appropriate tools. And like a craftsman, we first make a detailed and honest accounting of where we stand. The tools to accomplish the godly service, these are the words of the living God. Divrei Elokim Chaim, the teachings of Chassidus. These are the tools by which we repair the vessel. Whether the particular teaching brings one to contemplate a godly topic and understand it so well that it is absorbed in the physical brain, or a teaching which brings one more directly to feelings of love and fear of Hashem in the heart through understanding the teaching. The intellectual soul, the nefesh hasichli, and the godly soul, the nefesh haliki, each have emotional attributes as well. But the attributes of each one of these souls is opposite in nature. The nature of the attributes of the intellectual soul, the human intellect, is to go after what is lower than itself by engaging in the void. The nature of the godly soul, on the other hand, is to go after what is higher than itself, to be nullified in godliness. The service of changing the nature of the emotive attributes is to work on both of these souls. First,
the godly soul also.
yeah, what to work on this also. Wow. First, to change the nature of the attributes of the intellectual soul, which comprise the human intellect, that even though it does not realize that a good thing is good with human intellect and does not choose that good, we change its nature to recognize that it needs to choose good not from a human self-serving logic, but only because choosing good is what Hashem wants.
I would like to add a metaphor.
Yeah.
The rational soul knows that it's a good thing to eat healthy because it will be healthy. The person will be healthy if he eats healthy. We change its nature that it wants to be healthy because that's the best way to serve God is when it's healthy. Therefore, it eats healthy food.
Naturally.
That's what he's talking about.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Oh, naturally.
And the change in the nature of the godly soul is to...
This is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
You change the nature.
Because the godly soul, like we said, wants to grab what is
Including
higher
the
than
godly.
itself. Yeah. But we change its nature because the nature of the godly soul, we change it to settle in the vessels of mitzvahs.
To come down to the
come
world.
down into Hashem's commandments as they are down here.
Yeah.
So that instead of going out of the world to be nullified in godliness, it comes down and is settled in the world, which this is the superiority of shuv over ratzu, of returning over running, meaning of bringing it back down as opposed to going up in a great desire. The very beginning of Avodah is fixing our actions. The actions of all the attributes in particular. Because there are 10 attributes, and each one is included of all 10. So each one of the 10 has 10 itself. So that action has a seichel, has an intellect. You would think, oh no, action is just action. No, there is also an intellect of action, which informs how to accomplish that action, which is designated the intellect of action.
In other words, Hashem wants you to do a mitzvah. But there is a certain way that you have to do the mitzvah. A sukkah can't be more than 30 feet high. So your intellect tells you how to accomplish that mitzvah.
That mitzvah. So too, the intellect has a level called action of intellect.
Action of intellect.
Yeah, so just like there's an intellect in the action, there's an action of the intellect as well.
And how does that?
Well, This means the accomplishment of understanding a godly idea very clearly.
The action of intellect, to understand the godliness in the explanation.
Yeah. For example, when one learns a discourse about I am Hashem, I don't change, and he learns it in detail, going over the explanation several times, one after the other, until he finally understands it clearly, this is action of intellect. This example is in Haskalah. And even though it has some connection to an impulse for love and feel, in general, it is an intellectual exercise, an understanding to which his brain and understanding become more refined and clarified, and through this, his understanding of godliness is enhanced. So too in the intellectual...
You hear that, my friends? This is the real thing, what we're trying to accomplish. Getting close to Hashem through this service.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that was a welcome interruption. That was a good pointing out, to point this out. So too the intellectual pursuit and arousal of love and fear in godly service. Even though the discourse which arouses the heart, right, because there's different kinds of discourses, some arouse the intellect and some arouse the heart. So even though a Hasidic discourse which arouses the heart contains great wisdom and deep understanding, like it has intellect, it's made up of intellectual concepts. Nevertheless, it pertains to the heart and is called Aveda of the heart, Avedas Halev. And when the heart becomes pure and refined through this process, the love and fear become greater. Now, in regards to action of the garments of the soul, of thought, speech, and action. So what is the divine service there? What is the Aveda? Is to go over the explanation for a few hours until it is known well enough to be recited by heart. The beginning, this is like Bitzalel, like it talks about in the Maimer V'Adarta Pnei Zaki, that this is why we stand up for a Talmid Chacham, for a Torah sage, because he has Torah is engraved in his mind, he has it by heart. So when he's walking, it's the intellect of Hashem is in his brain, and that's why we have to. It's a beautiful thing. The Reishis Aveda, my friends, the beginning of all the Aveda is through accepting the yoke of service. Just like physical work in which success comes through hard work, so too in spiritual service, one accepts the yoke of hard work. No yoke, right? And all who come to be purified are helped to choose life and true good. May you all, my dear friends, be blessed to be purified and be helped to choose life and true good.
That's beautiful, Gimmel Elef. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank we should thank the Friedrich Rebbe. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And now to you, Bitzalel.
Okay, Well Leib. Oh boy.
Oh, boy, chick.
Yo na 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 moye di mama. Oh na 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 moye di mama. Oh yo di mama. Oh, na 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 na. Oh, di mama. Te yo na 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 na. Oh, di mama. Te yo na na. Oh, di mama. Te yeah. Oh, in a ram, yo, ye mam, te ya in a yo, ye mam, oh, ye mam, oh, oh, yedimam, oh, yenam, oh, yedim, oh, yenam, oh, yedimam, te ya yenana, oh, yedimam, te oh, yedimam, oh, yenam, oh, yedimam, oh, yenam, oh, yedimam, oh, yo, yedimam, te ya, Bitzalel, are you ready? Come, let's do a big Gezintahait friend. What's the G again?
Chassidus.
Ready? Bitzalel.
Ready? Remember, kids, Gezintahait. Something like ya. Bum, 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 bum.